It's been some time since Edwin stepped off of a bus close to New Salem University. The feeling for him took him back. Not nostalgia, no. Just memory. Memory of his life before, memory of commuting between home and school. I'm back. He's made his way further up through the palm and into the village. As the thoughts going through his mind, the thoughts going through his mind of the advice given him by his sire, and the reminder of who Cara Fletcher is, has Edwin wondering, wondering about the possibilities of trying to get on the inside, just to take a look, just to see this software that is making Summit nuclear power plant so successful, so extraordinary. While he weighs his options, all of his options, and the advice he was given, from the time he entered the village to now, he's, well, been surfing the web via his phone in an effort to blend in. He's been searching the clubs within the city, specifically within the village, so that it's not so obvious that he's been following somebody through this area of town. As he makes his way, occasionally lifting his head up, the hood of his sweatshirt over his head to try to better hide his eyes or shield his eyes from vision behind his glasses. He keeps a close eye when the person he follows moves right slightly, he moves left. Always a counter motion. If the target at all turns around, he makes a common gesture on his phone and takes a picture of something. Makes a clever conversation quickly on the street, or gives somebody a compliment. He carefully weighs who he does this to. If somebody doesn't look like they're in the mood, he doesn't make it to that person. He finds someone else quickly, always on the street. ST note, the roll above is for wits and streetwise, for hunting. The results he gets on the various clubs of the city within this area, quite good. He gets a couple good pictures. Keeps his eye on his target to see where the person goes. Already passed a few clubs. now going maybe to one of the furthest out. He wonders to himself, this lingering thought, why Cara Fletcher wouldn't talk to him if he had anything to do with Isabel. He supposes he could call Isabel, meet up with her, and just ask, but he doesn't want to be so blatant. That would be intrusive, rude, unpleasant. He doesn't know what the response would be. Weighing that against the nature that he knows all kindred possess within them. Predatory instinct. The very instinct in the back of his mind that drives him. The slight peckishness. Not hunger. Not hunger. No, no. The call of the beast in the back of Edwin's mind is a yearning to prove himself. A slight feeling of inadequacy. Almost as though his hunting techniques thus far are being weighed heavily and scrutinized, criticized, and critically analyzed. He has to prove himself, and what better place than here? What better way to prove that he has what it takes to really hunt? Subtly. Than a place where the streets are crowded and packed. Even amongst the alleyways, it's hard to get away from all the people that walk the streets in this area. The life, the vibrance fills him. He, for a moment, in the haste of youth, after all, these people are in his age group. Some of these people he even knows, remembers from school. They ask him where he's been. They haven't seen him for a while. They were worried about him. He assures them that, or he reassures them that, yeah, I'm trying to get back on track. It's not easy. The ordeal really took a lot out of him, he says. But, he thinks whatever higher power is looking out for him that he was able to return safe. Continues moving on. The conversation is never that long. He keeps his eye on his target always. Continues walking. Continues taking in the sights. Acting natural. It's what hunting is all about, right? Acting natural. Blending into your surroundings. The walk continues for a few more blocks when he notices the person he's been following, the young woman he's been following. Turns right down an alleyway very close to the Emerald Scorpion. He thinks it odd, but after taking a look in two different directions outside the alleyway, he quickly darts down it. The woman stops momentarily, fiddling with something within her purse. Becomes apparent she's decided to stand out by the back door and have a cigarette before going in. He very carefully, monitoring his steps, makes his way closer to the woman by huddling next to the um, the wall, staying within the shadows. And I'm going to make a dex and stealth for this. Whew, success. Okay. The first few steps after he makes his way against the wall, huddling it a little bit, he notices his foot scrapes. She turns her head slightly, but the struggle with her lighter proves to be the perfect distraction. He slows his steps a little bit, lifts his feet off the ground just a little bit more, getting ever closer and closer as he realizes, consciously and subconsciously, that he's cornered his prey. He's found the perfect opportunity to now strike as he moves closer and closer in, not for the kill, but for the prize. In the back of his mind, he feels that grip on success, that acknowledgement of accomplishment. It's overbearing, the feeling of accomplishment. If he could flush or blush or, well, it's safe to say, he starts to feel a little overconfident. In the front of his mind, his conscious mind, he tries to keep the racing thoughts slightly subsided, tries to keep them under control, tries to rein them in so that they don't force him to make a mistake or don't cause him to make a mistake. Ever closer, Edwin gets to the target of his hunt. A thought occurs to him as he gets closer and closer. He sees this young woman. Although there's not really a close resemblance at all, he sees a vision of Leslie standing in an alleyway, remembering what he had lost. He wonders in the back of his mind, just a side thought, just for a moment, could he get it back again? He takes 2 more steps when he stands right behind the woman. She gets through taking a drag, pulls the cigarette from her mouth. Right as she does that, he takes one more look. No one down the alley. He quickly bites and clamps down a bit, holding her shoulder, more to keep her in place than to actually tackle her to the ground. She lets out a slight squeak, a gasp. And then the ecstasy of the kiss begins to take over. The cigarette falls from her fingers as Edwin begins to drink. Every single tiny drop sweeter than he's ever known. The warmth of her blood flowing down his throat fills him with warmth, as though taking a shot of liquor in a bar. He feels that warming sensation in his body. As he continues to drink a little bit more, another thought goes through his head. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Don't get caught. It's more a feeling than an actual voice, of course, but he starts to take sups a little bit faster. And then stops. He licks a single stray drop of blood that dripped off his fangs from her neck, sealing the wound, remembering what he was taught. Never to leave a mark, never to leave a drop, if you can help it. Remembers, or seems to remember, the words were a little jovial, a little lighthearted at that point. He catches the woman who slumps a little bit. She's not unconscious, just a little drowsy, perhaps. He pulls her close to the door, wrapping part of the strap of her purse around her wrist. He gives a bit of a he gives a quick knock on the door after he positions her, and then quickly, quietly, this will be another dex stealth. Very quickly and quietly, after knocking, he takes a few large steps, hops, and then rounds the corner. He listens. Somebody comes out of the door. They see the young lady, slumped from fatigue, perhaps. Edwin will have only taken 1 point of blood. Once he's satisfied that they help her inside and she's okay, Edwin continues his normal stride, his phone out in hand, weighing the options, considering the consequences if he takes a certain course and is found out, what he could lose. Not wanting to be defiant or ignore his sire's good advice. Not wanting to disappoint her. He thinks about the goal. Getting on the inside. To see just why the power plant is doing so well. He continues to make his way through the village. Eventually, he starts walking back along the other side of the street. Casually, he slips his phone into his pocket, continues walking down the street, making his way back out of the village, eventually exiting the area and moving down into a nearby subway station to head back south, weighing all of his options against the consequences and good advice as the scene comes to an end.